Tonight, as Donald Trump holds a campaign event in Arizona at the U.S.-Mexico border, law enforcement taking this man into custody, who they say posted a threat on social media to kill the former president.
And what are your thoughts coming down here? Some people told me it's dangerous for you to be here.
I've heard it's dangerous, but I also have a job to do.
It comes only weeks after an assassination plot nearly took Trump's life at a Pennsylvania rally. The Cochise County Sheriff taking no chances as he sought 66-year-old Ronald Lee Severoid, who was wanted on multiple outstanding warrants, including DUI, hit and run, and failing to register as a sex offender.
For the second time in almost 2 months, one candidate is giving a first-hand account of the moment that shots rang out near him.
I was playing golf with some of my friends. It was on a Sunday morning, and all of a sudden we heard shots being fired in the air, and I guess probably 4 or 5. And it sounded like bullets, but what do I know about that? But Secret Service knew immediately it was bullets, and they grabbed me.
We now know that each of those shots were fired by the Secret Service to try to neutralize the threat posed by a gunman spotted in the bushes.
People speaking outside of Independence Hall in Philadelphia last night, Biden calling MAGA Republicans a threat to democracy.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
President Biden has chosen to divide, demean, and disparage his fellow Americans. Why? Simply because they disagree with his policies. That is not leadership.
MSNBC's default reaction today was to somehow blame Donald Trump and his own rhetoric for yet another person trying to kill him. It seems like the leftist media have got it in their heads that the only violent people in the world are right-wingers, and if violence happens, and even left-wingers did it, it's still the right's fault. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
You know, the Democrats tell lie after lie after lie about Trump and present him, as they did at the National Convention, as the greatest threat to democracy in American history. They paint him as the author of American fascism, as an extremist, as a dictator, as the end of democracy. And then someone is violent towards Trump and they say that's all Trump's fault. So there's no responsibility on the Democrat side at all. And
the man said he wants to be a dictator. Mm-hmm. Okay, that for me, that's where it all kind of ends.
He said he wants to be a dictator. He said that there won't be elections again in this country.
U.S. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris have warned about Donald Trump's threat to democracy, whether he wins or loses the upcoming presidential election.
If you put them on CIA truth serum, they're going to tell you, yeah, Donald Trump is a bigger threat to democracy.
President Biden, in his inaugural address, 8 times said his number one goal is to unify and heal this nation. He unfortunately has done the exact opposite.
And Bill Barr told Fox News Digital this, quote, "The Democrats have to stop their grossly irresponsible talk about Trump being an existential threat to democracy. He is not. This has been going on now several years."
Let's say you're a Democrat and you love this country and all you listen to is the mainstream media or just your political figures. You hear that time and time again that Donald Trump is going to end democracy as we know it. You know, you love this country. You want to make sure that it doesn't happen. Is that what's going through the minds of somebody like the assassin?
For absolutely everything. And then you hear Kamala coming out and saying, yes, you know, Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. The only threat to democracy is the people who are trying to kill that incredible man right there. Again, somebody loved by the entire country. And, you know, they've got to tone down that rhetoric. The whole, you know, Joe Biden, we're going to put a bullseye on Donald Trump. That has to end. The Maxine Waters comments, they have to end. The mainstream media who goes after him every single day, it has to end. They are creating a culture of hate in this country.
Well, predictably, the left-wing, state-run media mob and the woke left wasted no time blaming Donald Trump for the attempt on his own life. They apparently have absolutely zero shame. Cincinnati Enquirer. publishes a letter to the editor that says, oh, Trump brings a lot of this stuff on himself.
One very prominent NBC reporter analyst said, will this change Trump's rhetoric? The man almost got shot again, and the analysis of the media is, will Trump change? So here's my response. Well, the people who accuse him of being a threat to democracy will shut the hell up so people are not inspired to kill him.
With the Biden campaign just today outlining its key theme that Trump's threat to democracy is growing more dire.
Why aren't they concerned about assassination attempts on Trump?
As craven as it may sound, it doesn't help them politically. I mean, Donald Trump was assassinated nearly 3 weeks ago. The Secret Service is dragging its feet. The mainstream media doesn't want to talk about it because they're busy trying to elect Kamala Harris. I think
Biden is Mother Teresa compared to Trump. Trump and the people who are enabling him, they are a threat to our democracy. And any Republican who is not condemning Trumpism right now, they are enablers.
Democracy, because, you know, that's his new theme. Did you watch him stumble through that speech last night? Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. Now, that's the only thing he can say because they didn't do anything. In fact, a lot of the people were saying, you know, tired. I think he mentioned my name 29 times. But he said Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. That's going to be their case because he can't say anything good.
For example, Kamala Harris saying Republicans are trying to silence the voice of the people while removing Donald Trump from a ballot.
The gravest threat to democracy in America is President Donald Trump.
Which is that this is the existential threat of our day. You can't just look away from the fact that democracy is very much at stake.
Donald Trump has accused Joe Biden of being the real enemy of the state, days after President Biden branded Mr. Trump and his supporters a threat to American democracy.
Mark, we really saw for the first time a shift in tone from the president, calling MAGA extremism a threat to our democracy. Biden's touted himself as someone who could bring people together. The midterms right around the corner. What does this signal about his thinking going forward?
He's not only targeting former President Trump, but also his MAGA supporters, as you said, calling them a threat to democracy.
Is there also part of the messaging of Trump being a threat to democracy, that these are also kind of, is it a scare tactic, or is it simply, you know, the Biden's point of view that this is underscoring you know, the obvious?
This is not a scare tactic. When he tells you he's going to be a dictator, take that for real. The idea here is he said, I will restrict and ask for a federal abortion ban. Donald Trump is a threat to the democracy, and that's why we need to reelect Joe Biden, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
So a new book calls President Trump a threat to American democracy. The author, David Frum.
The fact that they're not running shows this whole thing that the Democrats think Donald Trump is a threat to democracy is untrue. If they thought Donald Trump was a threat to democracy, they'd be running right now because there won't be an election in 4 years. So they all seem pretty confident that our democracy is going to be just fine after 4 years of Donald Trump, and they'll be able to keep their powder dry and run.
Right, this is what's so clownish about the Democrats' threat to democracy motto or line that they use in the media, is that the only one who's getting shot at is Donald Trump, and it appears to be more than once. It appears that there are many plots out there, and yet the Democrats don't want to talk about the fact that it's really Donald Trump whose life's on the line.
After a shooter was found on his golf course, apparently targeting him, their conversation is turning towards him toning down his rhetoric.
Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, the DNC, their media hacks wake up every single morning and attempt to call Donald Trump Hitler.
She's a threat to democracy. They always say, Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. I'm not a threat. I'm the opposite. I'm keeping democracy. What they are, she's a defunder of police. You know, when somebody on the far left is in charge of defund the police for 12 years, and then they switched, 3 weeks ago or something. Oh, we love our police. They don't love the police. They're radical left Marxists, and that's what she is. And she's got to be, it's not even believable. The whole thing it's not believable.
So, according to Politico last week, Joe Biden said on a private phone call with donors, I'm the only person who can beat President Trump. I'm the best person to be able to do that. So we're done talking about the debate. It's time to put Trump in a bullseye.